everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Saturday, May the 25th. Race number 7 at Belmont at the Big A. Could be a nice prep for the Belmont Derby. This is the Grade 2 Pennine Ridge. 3-year-olds going 1 1/8 miles. Let's take a look at this field. It's a pretty solid group in here, Mike. The 2 Legend of Time is the 2-1 morning line favorite. This is a colt that won 3 consecutive races in Dubai. I have to admit, I was a little disappointed with his run at Churchill Downs when the beaten favorite last time.
Yeah, I was too. It was a good field. I didn't see a big excuse for him, though. I mean, he has a lot of advantages in this field, Dan, and we'll get to those in a little bit. But there's some talent in here. He's not going to be able to just show up over there and beat this field.
Let's throw up the Timeform US pace projector for this race. It is a relatively short field, and Legend of Time, if he wants the lead, according to Timeform US, is quick enough to get it. He pushed a pretty solid pace at Churchill Downs. He also pulled very hard in that race, Mike, and I wonder if he's more effective settling off of a horse. It's just that he might end up on the lead by default.
Yeah, there's not a lot of pace in here, so he could certainly fall into a really good trip. The good thing about Legend of Time, Dan, is especially when you go back to those races in Dubai over the winter, he was very versatile as far as running style goes. He did it up close. He did it from further off the pace. So listen, if this pace somehow gets a little bit faster than expected, he doesn't need to be there. But man, this pace projector is a pretty big advantage for him.
If the pace is hot, keep an eye on the 7 Triple Espresso. Note the LP flag over his chiclet. It indicates the fastest Timeform US late pace rating. A horse with good tactical speed is the 1 White Palomino, who returned from a short layoff for Chad Brown to win this maiden race at Keeneland. He's had a very good trip in here behind the lead, but he was chasing solid enough fractions. The hole opens up, he splits them, and he's too good for him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the trips don't get much better than this. He also really runs in this race, though, I thought anyway, Dan. You can elaborate on that if you want. I really like the way he finished in this race. His debut was fine. I didn't love that performance, but Triple Espresso, who beat him, had a lot of experience on White Palomino. I just thought he took a huge step forward in that win.
Tactical speed wins races, and this guy's got it in spades, it seems, from 2 lifetime starts, and I don't see any reason why he can't work out a similar trip as last time. Just tucking in behind the leader and closing, he has a lot of upside, arguably a little bit more than Legend of Time, who's already been out 6 lifetime starts. He looked good in his races in Dubai. I really wasn't sure who he was beating in that race. And at Churchill, it looked like he was all washed out going to the post. He pulled hard early, could never get by the 25-1 shot that you liked, that ran an excellent second in the stretch. He's a good horse. He's a solid horse. I'm not sure I would take 2-1 or less, but he's probably the main contender in here.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's the horse to beat. We'll just put it that way. He just has those advantages. Not only the pace projector, which this race may or may not play out that way, but he's already a 4-time winner. He's already a stakes winner. He's very versatile in terms of running style and distance. These things just all kind of add up. He also goes for great connections too, Dan. I mean, he's the horse to beat in here. Like you, I didn't think he ran great in the American turf, and maybe he had an excuse because he was unsettled early in there, but that was far from a compelling performance. He's going to have to run better than that to beat this field.
But as you said, it was a tougher field than this. He is a 4-time winner. He does have tactical speed. He has a lot in his corner. Demand a price on Legend of Time, but he is the horse to beat. Risk Tolerance looked good in his career debut for Chad. This was back on April the 21st at Aqueduct, another horse that showed good tactical speed. Risk Tolerance is on the outside. He's going to go after the leader, and I like that he grinds down this horse that's loose on the lead. He had work to do in the final 8th, and he did it.
Yeah, very handy in this race as far as trip goes. Then I'm with it. Very game through the final 8th here. He's going to close this horse down pretty easily. There's not a ton going on behind these 2 horses in this race, Dan, but I still liked the race that Risk Tolerance won. I like the way that he did it. It feels like there's a ton of upside here. He's got a great pedigree for top connections. He's going to be pretty dangerous. He's pretty dangerous in this race.
Cable Ready, the number 4, is cross-entered in a race in New York on Friday. His most recent start was his turf debut, and it was a good performance against fellow New York-bred first-level allowance foes. I thought all in all, the trip was there for him. The pace wasn't very fast, though, Mike, for Cable Ready, and he had to save ground, and he got a little bit of a shuffle, and he comes with a good, strong run, although there's not a straw in his path late.
He has a clean run up the rail. He got an overall great trip in here, Dan. I just appreciated the way that he did shuffle back on the final turn. The pace really picked up at that point. He lost some position, but I just like the way he hung in there, held his position for the most part. He gets up at the end. It's a good performance. man, he's going to have to run way better than that. This is a way tougher spot.
It's a big step up in class. If you believe the buyers, he's competitive off of that last run, and he's going to be a super price if he runs in this race for lower profile but very capable connections. Royal Majesty is the 5 going out for Belmont. This one has won 2 of 3 starts and shipping in from overseas. Here's his most recent race. This is an allowance event at Keeneland. I thought he got the right setup in here. The pace seemed pretty fast. They went a sub 23 opening quarter, but I do like the way he storms on home as the favorite.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's much like the horse on the rail, the Chad Brown horse. This horse's overall trip was good, and he had a perfectly good setup in here. Really like the way he finishes this race off, though, with a big run through the final furlong. He's way best in here, Dan. I thought it was the race 2 back, though, that really pointed him out as a horse who could be okay. I mean, what an at least in my opinion, you feel free to disagree, underrated performance that day. They were crawling and then sprinting home, and this horse came from last. He was making up tons of ground in there. That was an underrated performance. He delivered last time.
Well, I was going to say that a lot of folks are going to look at his form and say, hey, his 2 wins in the States came with Lasix. His one, quote, poor performance on paper came without it. But you're absolutely right. That Colonel Liam just had no pace. The fractions speak for themselves, and he was far, far back. He was running at the end. This guy's got a kick. And I think a mile and 1/8 is going to be good for him. He just needs a fair pace for it to attack in the stretch. The 6 is St. James the Great, and Kerry Bryan likes to do this with her layoff horses. She actually ran this horse in a point-to-point mile and a half race in a Maryland Hunt meet at the end of March. It's not in your past performances. It's not a legitimate race, but he got a perfect trip if you ever want to handicap point-to-point races, and he won that day. And then he made his seasonal debut against older horses in a first-level allowance at Laurel. He got wired by an older horse. The runner-up came back to win the Murphy with an 81 buyer speed figure. He's got to improve. I think he does have some talent. It's just a very tough spot.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if this is the right spot for him, but I don't mind them taking a shot in this race. He'll get the distance. I really liked his maiden win. I don't know if he beat anything there, Dan. Go ahead and tell me if there was anything at all in there. I just liked the way that he won that race.
No, he won that race very, very easily, like a nice horse. And he's a big, strong, good-looking gelding that'll appreciate distance. A mile and 1/8 won't be any problem. I think he'll even get farther down the road. He won that mile and a half point to point. Triple Espresso finished ahead of Royal Majesty and the Colonel Liam. You could argue both were compromised by the lack of pace. I kind of agree with you. I think Royal Majesty probably ran better than Triple Espresso. Triple Espresso did not have a good trip. In the Jeff Ruby Stakes last time out, they tried to get him on the Derby Trail in that synthetic race, and he just was last on the outside, and then he tried to split horses in the stretch. He must have been banged off stride a couple of times, and he was staying on.
Yeah, I mean, it probably cost him second. He exchanged several hard bumps in the stretch. It probably cost him second because it was a blanket photo finish there. Regardless, he wasn't winning. He wasn't as good as the winner that day, but maybe he could have gotten second there. He was compromised 2 starts back. I thought he ran really well breaking his maiden. That was sort of the right spot for him, but he looked good winning. They've obviously thought highly of him from the start, Dan. I mean, his first 2 career starts in stakes races.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time, Saturday race of the day, the Pennine Ridge. Legend of Time at 2-1 is kind of tough for me to take. I do like Triple Espresso, the 7 at a slightly better price. You're going with Royal Majesty, though. I think he has a lot of upside. He'll be running in the stretch.
Just want to give him a chance in here, see if the trip works out, and then see if he's good enough to go with these horses. I think his overall form says that he might be. His pedigree certainly says that he might be. I'm going to give him a chance in here at a price. Then you have the horse to beat on top. If he's too short a price, though, I can take a shot against him there. I like the 5. I think both of Chad's horses have a chance.
5-3-2-1 for Mike, 2-7-4-3 for me. Legend of Time's got to relax better in the early portion of this race. And if he is too short, I'm perfectly happy to go to Triple Espresso, who I think is a better turf horse and had some trouble last time. Should be a good edition of the Grade 2 Pennine Ridge. Saturday's race of the day is the 7th at Belmont to the Big A. Best of luck.